This is not the church of Joseph Smith. This is the Church of Jesus Christ.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. In Matthew chapter 24, we are warned about the coming of false prophets and false Christs in the latter days. And Joseph Smith likewise warned Mormons about the coming of false prophets in the latter days. And in section 43 of the Doctrine and Covenants, even helps the elders know how not to be deceived by such people. On May 3rd, 1980, the Church News, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Hal Knight, was the staff writer, did an article, Utah finds 1828 writing by prophet. And it has from right to left Gordon B. Hinckley, Packer, forgetting his name, Boyd K. Packer, Hugh B. Brown, and President Spencer W. Kimball, and N. Eldon Tanner, with the Utah who found the 1828 writing by Joseph Smith, Mark Hoffman. Little did Hal Knight know, and the prophets leading the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that his writings by Joseph Smith were all forgeries. The Salamander letter was also published in the Los Angeles Times on March 29th, 1987 at 12 a.m. Pacific Time. It reads, Palmyra, October 23rd day, 1830. Dear Sir, your letter of yesterday is received, and I hasten to answer as fully as I can. Joseph Smith Jr. first came to my notice in the year 1824. In the summer of that year, I contracted with his father to build a fence on my property. In the course of that week, I approached Joseph and asked how it is in a half day you put up what requires your father and two brothers a full day working together. He says I have not been without assistance, but cannot say more, only you better find out. The next day I take the older Smith by the arm, and he says Joseph can see anything he wishes by looking at a stone. Joseph often sees spirits here, with great kettles of coin money. It was spirits who brought up rock, because Joseph made no attempt on their money. I later dream I converse with spirits, which let me count their money. When I awake, I have in my hand a dollar coin, which I take for a sign. Joseph describes what I seen in every particular. says the spirits are grieved. So I threw back the dollar in the fall of the year 1827. I hear Joseph found a gold Bible. I take Joseph aside and he says, "It is true, I found it 4 years ago with my stone, but only just got it because of the enchantment. The old spirit came to me 3 times in the same dream and says, 'Dig up the gold.' But when I take it up, the next morning the spirit transfigured himself from a white salamander in the bottom of the hole and struck me 3 times and held the treasure and would not let me have it because I lay it down to cover over the hole when the spirit says, 'Do not lay it down.' Joseph says, 'When can I have it?' The spirit says, 1 year from today. If you obey me, look to the stone after a few days. He looks, the spirit says, 'Bring your brother Alvin.' Joseph says there's no punctuation. Joseph says he is dead. Shall I bring what remains? But the spirit is gone. Joseph goes to get the gold Bible, but the spirit says, 'You did not bring your brother. You cannot have it. Look to the stone.' Joseph looks, but cannot see who to bring. The spirit says, 'I tricked you again. Look to the stone.' Joseph looks and sees his wife. On the 22nd day of September, 1827, they get the gold Bible. I give Joseph $50 to move him down to PA. Joseph says, 'When you visit me, I will give you a sign.' He gives me some hieroglyphics. I take them to Utica, Albany, and New York. In the last place, Dr. Mitchell gives me an introduction to Professor Anton. Says they are shorthand Egyptian, the same what was used in ancient times. Bring me the old book and I will translate. Says it is made of precious gold and is sealed from view. Says I cannot read a sealed book. Joseph found some giant silver spectacles with the plates. He put them in an old hat, and in the darkness reads the words. And in this way, it is all translated and written down. About the middle of June, 1829, Joseph takes me together with Oliver Cowdery and David Whitmer to have a view of the plates. Our names are appended to the Book of Mormon, which I had printed with my own money. That's a change in linguistic pattern. Space and time both prevent me from writing more at present. If there is anything further you wish to inquire, I shall attend to it. Yeah, that final, yeah, you can hear even the difference. Yours respectively, Martin Harris. So why would the living prophets of Jesus be fooled? They're the living prophets of Jesus. Quick, easy, obvious answer. Mark Hoffman, in forging documents about Joseph Smith's claims, is presenting a false identity of Joseph Smith. None of that happened. You can recognize some parallels with our Joseph Smith history, but there are some differences, some key, crucial differences. And it's now going to bug me. And one of which is 3 times rather than 4 times. Now, all this is because I have a full knowledge of the Joseph Smith history, both scripturally, prophetically, and church history-wise. The average Mormon wouldn't know. But the key thing about a false prophet is that they preach a false Christ. We learn this from the Book of Mormon. The Antichrists preach against the Christ, and in so doing they preach a different way, and that different way sets them up as the Christ for the people. But in section 43, we'll remind you again, O hearken, ye elders of my church, and give ear to the words which I shall speak unto you. This was February 1831. This was before Brigham and Heber C. Kimball joined the church the next year. And so already there are problems in this early church. For behold, verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye have received a commandment for a law unto my church, through him, Joseph Smith, whom I have appointed unto you to receive commandments and revelations from my hand. Joseph Smith is the only one appointed to receive commandments and revelations for the church. And it's not just because he has a special connection, it's because he has special insights. I've gone over the real church history as to what that is with William Morgan in 9/11/1826. And this ye shall know assuredly, that there is none other appointed. So the president of the 12 and the 12 apostles are appointed? No. None else shall be appointed unto this gift, except to be through him. Oh yeah, Brigham Young said he had a document from Joseph Smith saying that Brigham Young was to take over. Really? Huh. I'm sure that's a legitimate document, not forged whatsoever. Because we'll get to that. Section 107, verse 22, in case I don't. For if it be taken from him, he shall not have power except to appoint another in his stead. It wasn't taken from him except by murder. But Joseph, like I said, designated how he was to be succeeded. And so this is the pattern for Joseph Smith's administration. Joseph only appointed to receive commandments and revelations for the church. And this shall be a law unto you, that ye receive not the teachings of any that shall come before you as revelations or commandments. And this I give unto you, that you may not be deceived, that you may know they are not of me. Okay? So the Salamander letter was a bit tricky. It wasn't from Joseph Smith. It was Martin Harris. And despite the linguistic problems, prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints got fooled. Why? Because the president of the church is the one to receive commandments and revelations, to be able to detect that Mark Hoffman was a fraud. Right? Well, here's why they were unable to do so. Joseph Smith, according to the Joseph Smith papers in the context of this passage, section 107, had just licensed a whole bunch of missionary 12 apostles, which included Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball. And this was March 28th, 1835. And also missionary 70 under the missionary 12 apostles. There were also administrative 70 to the High Council 12. And that's how Joseph Smith had set up his organization. And it's a bug bite. Little. And so he's instructing them on their duty and in their quorum. That's why you only have Joseph Smith, the 12, and the 70. It's the 12 missionaries and the 70 missionaries under them. And so he's not talking about the High Council 12. He's not talking about the 70 for the High Council 12. He's not talking about elders' quorum. He's not talking about other quorums. Except generally indicating that of necessity there are presidents or presiding officers growing out of or appointed of or from among those who are ordained to the several offices in these two priesthoods. Which means, in 1838, when the Danites were cooing the leadership of the church, chased out Thomas B. Marsh from the missionary 12. The remaining 12 held a vote and made Brigham Young the president of the 12. Brigham Young then called some of his buddies to be a part of it and excommunicated those who were chased out by the Danites. Thomas B. Marsh, 17th of March, 1839. Joseph Smith was still in Liberty Jail. They lied to us about why he left the church and why he was excommunicated, didn't they? They blamed his wife. But the president of the church is different. Of the Melchizedek priesthood, which includes all of the quorums of the Melchizedek priesthood, 3 presiding high priests chosen by the body, appointed and ordained to that office. So is it a president and 2 counselors? No. That is different than the other quorums. When Joseph Smith dies, he had appointed, or if we were to use the words from section 43, appointed. Yeah, it's appointed. I was right. And who appointed Joseph Smith? God. How? Hold on. The whole Melchizedek priesthood are supposed to gather together and vote. Not sustain, vote for 3 individuals. Just like in the presidency of the 70, there are 7 presidents. Joseph Smith had designed it so that 3 presidents would replace him. And why? It's because Joseph Smith had special insight into the church. And so it was necessary for this. Because in verses 91 to 92, and again, the duty of the president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. Oops. What's that doing in there? Oh crap, the church didn't take that out. If you've not been following my channel, you have no idea how it's tied to the second vision, verse 40. Behold, here is wisdom, yea, to be a seer, a revelator, a translator, and a prophet, having all the gifts of God which he bestows upon the head of the church, to be able to detect frauds and forged documents. So, in the law of the Jews, called the repetition of the law, Deuteronomy chapter 12, Moses is facing a coup of his own. His brother and sister want to overthrow him and lead the church of Moses. Moses is the Christ. It's Moses' church. Therefore, it's named in Moses' name. They just never say church. And so the Lord comes to the temple. Okay, it's chapter 6. Well, no. Come on. Are you kidding me? Have I gotten it wrong? Have I forgotten? It's Numbers. Numbers. Okay, it's not the law. So this isn't legitimate. Don't want to be deceived by this false doctrine. So at the temple, the Lord appears and says, notice he comes down in a pillar of a cloud, and he says, "Hear now my words, if there be a prophet among you. I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream." This is how Joseph Smith got his authority. That's why Joseph Smith has his visionary accounts that started the whole thing off. It was technically 9/11, 1826 in Canandaigua, New York. But they were Knights Templar. So there's more to the story that I am not revealing in this video. And so this is how Mormons are supposed to know how not to be deceived by false prophets preaching a false Christ. And because Joseph Smith died and nobody did follow properly the manner of succession, there was no priesthood vote. Joseph Smith's church ceased to exist on the face of the earth. You understand this? Are you in denial? Are you wanting to be deceived? It means Brigham Young is not a true prophet. He's a false prophet. And so, his addition in the Doctrine and Covenants, section 136, is a forged document. The word and will of the Lord concerning the camp of Israel in their journeyings to the west. Are you denying Joseph Smith as the founder? Are you denying Joseph Smith as the true prophet? You are, if you claim Brigham Young is the true prophet. You cannot have both of them be true, because Brigham Young did not obey the word of the Lord, or shall we say the word and will of the Lord concerning succession. His letter from Joseph was a forgery. Joseph needed to make it a commandment and revelation to the whole church, not to Brigham privately. This is so you don't get deceived. Why are you mad at me? Why are you no longer listening? This is not complicated. So how would the church be restored? Oh, right, I already gave you that clue with the man like Moses, didn't I? And the visions and the dreams part. Joseph Smith even tells us, section 103, in the latter days, redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Verse 15, section 103. Therefore, I will raise up. You did check Joseph Smith history, verse 40. Followed it to Acts, and then followed it to Deuteronomy, There's a scripture chain link. The church allows you to know this information. Don't get mad at me. Don't be a denialist of your own scriptures and your own religion. As your own prophet, Joseph, as you claim as your founder. I will raise up unto my people. So that's Catholics, right? Presbyterians? Protestants? Lutherans? So we just go down the list of over 100 different religious organizations. A man who shall lead them like as Moses. Oh, hey, the president of the church is a man like Moses. Yeah, they had no problem linking section 107, verse 91 and 92 to this, but not to Joseph Smith history, verse 40. Led the children of Israel. So isn't that fun? So yes, Mormons, the church needs to be restored. And so that you won't be fooled and deceived by false prophets and false Christs, whom you are, because you're in bondage to them. For ye are the children of Israel and the seed of Abraham, and ye must needs be led out of bondage. Is Joseph Smith not a prophet? Is he lying? Is he false? Are you not in bondage to the great and abominable church? With the great and abominable prophet? With the great and abominable Christ? Or is Joseph a liar? Take your pick. Can't be both. It's really that simple. Joseph Smith gave you the answer as to how not to be fooled. And there are many other clues if you just use the Joseph Smith papers.